Hello, it's been a long week, not much time to make a bit of content for you, so I thought we'd do a different one. Have a look at how terribly the allotment is doing. Are you ready? Right then, so the allotment has been, it's like a toddler, right? Dealing with a toddler in that you want so much for it and yet it just keeps arguing with you and biting you and kicking you, and the weather's not helped. And yeah, so let's have a look then. You can just look at how beautiful and oh no, that's not mine. This is mine. We have had no end of sunshine and hardly any rain. We've also had a winter full of like really ridiculous storms. As you can see, the whole greenhouse got blown out, like absolutely blown to pieces. I don't know if you can see all the plastic on the floor. We had a couple of storms where the winds were like, well, the gusts were upwards of like 60, 70, almost some of them 80 miles an hour, which is a lot for around here, to be fair. And then, like I said, we had no rain. And we've had no rain. I think it's maybe rained once or twice in the last 4 or 5 months. We've got like a real problem with it in the UK. We've got beautiful skies though, which is nice. But today, even today, it started off like miserable, grey and dreary, and you're like, oh, will it rain? Will it rain? But no, it won't. Bit of sunshine, eh? That's a bit better. So makes me look less ropey with my stubble that I need to shave. So where are we with the allotment? I've had quite a few people ask actually. Some on DMs, some on Instagram, some on YouTube and stuff. So I thought I'd say where we're at. What we've got here is, it's not a failure to communicate. What we've got here is a very dry, very clay soil, which is pretty much as hard as rocks. It is like trying to dig through rocks. So we've sort of opted for like a no dig garden because I can't do any digging. And the other thing is we're fairly limited on how much money we can throw at it, you know, with things like bringing in soil or amendments and all that sort of stuff. So we've gone for a little bit of an experiment. I've been doing a lot of watching on YouTube, a lot of reading, as we do with everything. And yeah, we've gone for a lot of straw. How do you think that's going to play out? So obviously we got the potatoes in, they went in, and they've got straw on top of them to keep them dry. We've got a little bit of a flower garden, my daughter's flower garden over here. I'll show you the 2 beds that we've got that we're going to be running tomatoes and beans in. So this one here, this is going to be our tomatoes, and then this one is going to be our beans and a couple of like climbing crops. I'll get out the sunshine for a minute and got a cider, eh? So what we've done with those is something a little bit different. We've laid the straw out on the ground because it, like I said, it's just hard as rocks, man. So we've laid the straw out, we've chucked some blood fish and bone on top of it, and then we've covered it over, and then we're going to come back in maybe a week, 2 weeks, and we're going to cut sections like you would do with any sort of weed fabric, pop a bunch of soil in there, so maybe a bit out of a grow bag or something, and then we're going to plant into it. Hopefully the straw breaking down isn't going to pull too much nitrogen, I think it is. Hopefully that's not going to pull too much nitrogen out, but it's just an experiment, so we're going to see if it works. It's all about making sure your waiting room is your classroom, because at some point in the future I'm going to have 100 acres of land and we're going to have a massive garden. So, well, we haven't got that. We're going to have a play with the allotment, and that's what we're going to do. So we've done those 2 beds. Like I said, we've laid the straw out, so that's about 6 to 9 inches deep. Then we've put the blood fish and bone on top of it, watered it all down, covered it over, let that sit for a little bit, and then we'll come back and plant in it. There is something else I've learned, other than making sure that we use proper thick greenhouse fabric or greenhouse plastic, not fabric. And we've learned about potatoes and fronting them up with straw and the trying the straw experiments over here. The other thing I've learned is when you get an IVC, it needs to have a steel cage on it if you're going to fill it full of water, because otherwise it looks a little bit like a melted cake. Melted cake? Squish cake? I don't know. But I need to get another IBC maybe somewhere along here so that we can drain this one, chuck it into it. I've got a couple old sleepers over there, so maybe I can make a base for it, pick up an IBC, empty the water into there, maybe replace that one once that one's empty. And I also have, a gentleman gave me 3 water butts, so I need to run some gutter in on the other side and then run it in and over and over. When we came back down here last weekend, all of this was like this high. You can see next doors. That's what ours looked like, except the entire thing. Anything that we hadn't covered up with plastic or weed fabric was like as high as what it is at the fence here. Man, it was a lot of effort. We put a whole day in last weekend, got it cleared, come back down here today, and obviously it's been super sunny, no rain this week. So all the grass has like died down, and so that's cool. Brought the strimmer in today, cleaned the rest of it up, and yeah, like I said, we've done a bunch of it. I'm not too concerned really, because we have a whole bunch of plants and bits and pieces started down the workshop, because we've got like a little grow area, the grow light and everything. So that's cool. It's just a case of everything takes time, man, and work is busy, and when work's busy, because of the way the economy is and because it's very difficult to get work at the moment. I don't know if anybody noticed. When we get work, we just have to do the work. And everybody wants everything yesterday. I'm not Amazon, but everybody thinks I'm Amazon, right? So everybody wants everything yesterday. They leave everything to the last minute. Everybody's trying to beat you down on price and beat you down on everything, but still wants like champagne. What is it? Everybody wants champagne dinner for beer budget, which is just... it's a soul destroying, really. So it's quite nice to come down here and have some fun, do some actual proper manual labour, because I find a bit of manual labour always like chills me out a little bit. And I don't know, it's like going for a run or lifting weights or going for a bike or just doing stuff that's hard, physically hard, is quite enjoyable, and it sort of sorts my head out a bit. I think you could look at all of this and be like quite disheartened. I think Michelle was quite disheartened, you know, when we came down here last weekend and today, especially it being warm and everything's just... it's just hard, isn't it? Life's just hard sometimes, and that's okay. That's okay. Like I said, this is our waiting room, so we're making it our classroom, and we're trying to learn everything we can learn and do everything we can do. And you just sort of like take it one step at a time and try not to let it be wind you up too much. It's just everything's an opportunity, yeah. Everything's an opportunity. Sometimes I listen to myself and I can see why people get irritated with some of the things I say. But this is just me not trying to be. This is just how I try and look at things. Because otherwise, you just give up, wouldn't you? Right? You just give up and say, screw this, I'm not doing this anymore. But I mean, we've got like an artichoke. We've got an artichoke over here. That's growing really well. We've got a whole bunch of horseradish. So we'll make some horseradish. If you've got any horseradish recipes, that would be awesome. Or anything you can do with that, that'd be really cool. I wonder if you could use it like mustard on like outside of a brisket or pulled pork or something. That would be pretty awesome if you could. Maybe a bit spicy, but I think that'd be good. We do have a couple very sad looking bushes over here. Like I think there's a raspberry and a blueberry, and they're not too happy. We've got some flowers and stuff, and that's cool. It's cool. It's just making the waiting room the classroom, isn't it? I don't know. I think you can either get really wound up about stuff, feel really disheartened about stuff, or you can just be like, okay, and just go get on with it. And don't get me wrong, there are lots of times when I sit there and think, screw this, and I want to throw my tools across the workshop or throw the towel in or anything like that. But the best bit of advice I ever heard, and I probably said it a whole bunch of times, is that even if you get to the point where you're going to throw the towel in, pick it up. You can pick it up, doesn't matter. Just pick it up, go get back in the game. And that's sort of what we're doing here, you know, just like picking the towel up, getting back in the game, doing what we can with what we have. I can't afford loads of topsoil, I can't afford loads of amendments at the moment, so that's where the straw comes in. And at like £3 or £4 a bale, like, you can't knock it, can you? And heck, why not just give it a go? If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. What have you lost? A bit of time. My time's free for the most part anyway, so just enjoy it. But yeah, that's where we're at. So the lessons we've learned: if you're going to prefer an IBC up with water, definitely need a cage on it. If you're going to spend time putting a lovely little greenhouse in, make sure you get the right greenhouse plastic so that it doesn't wreck, and probably treat it a little bit more like a property, or like a little more like a building, in that you put studs every not studs, but battening every 2 foot so that it doesn't have the opportunity to blow right through. And sometimes you just need to experiment and just see how you get on. I don't think it's bad. I think it's interesting. I think it's fun. And if it fails, it fails. Like the straw beds, if they fail, that's fine. Because next year, there'll be loads of really good soil. And whether we're here or somebody else has got it, we're just like making things a little bit better. We always try and make things a little bit better than what they were before you started, eh? Anyway, that's me. Hope you've enjoyed a little bit of a ramble. I promise I'll try and get back to woodworking next week. It has been, like I said, we've been mad busy, and sometimes I just got to make the money and I can't make the content. But you have a great day. If you have any suggestions, if you have any recipes, if you think I'm stupid and it's not going to work and I'm going to ruin everything, you tell me, all right? You take it easy, you have a great one, and I shall see you on the next one.